right, good July the 8th to everybody. It is Saturday. Um, I, like I said last week, I'm going to try to do at least one video a week. Will usually probably be posted on the weekends. And today is going to be a clothing gear review of what I would take again if I started in February again. And the reason why I'm doing that is because, man, now is the time. Some of you have been prepping for a while, but for those who are leaving uh, in 2018 in the late winter or early spring, man, I know the prep's already underway for you guys. And like Gucci Girl and Grumpy have pushed their departure date back to February 14th. So a lot of this information will hopefully help them out a little bit. And I know they research all the through hikers on YouTube, or at least a lot of them. So hopefully this can just add to their knowledge bank, and anybody else out there who's planning on starting January, February, or very early March, hopefully can benefit from some of this today. I just want to answer a couple of quick questions real quick. A couple that stand out is somebody was asking about washing the quilt. When I did my sleep system review last week, I didn't include the sleeping bag liner that everybody knows that I was using. I used it every night I was on the trail. So that prevented me from ever having to wash the quilt. And if you go look at my quilt and smell it right now, man, it almost smells brand new. Had it out in the sun just to get rid of any the damp, dank smells, and there are none. So that sleeping bag liner is amazing. So go check out my videos, my gear review before I started the trail, and you will see that Sea to Summit Cool Max liner that I used, and I would take that again. That will go with me if I started in February again. Start any time of the year again, because it just keeps your nastiness away from that quilt, the actual quilt itself, and then when you get into town, you can just throw that liner in the washing machine. So it's like you have a fresh sleep system every time you wash that thing. So it's an amazing piece of kit. I would not go on a hike without it, me personally. It's not for everybody, though. Some people, it's a weight penalty that are not willing to incur. Recovery's going good. Legs are starting to slowly feel better. I increased the weight on my things like my deadlifts this week. Actually did some machine squats. So we're getting there, man. It's just going to take a while. And somebody asked, do you think that they didn't ask, they were making a point, and it was a good one, and one that we should probably talk about more of. Man, if you go plan on doing big miles out there, you're going to have some longer recovery times than those who are going out and just doing their 12s all the way through, or 15s. And that depends, man. 15s for some people might be like 20s or 25s to people like Kansas or other big mile hikers. So it all depends on you, all depends on your body. It all depends on what you're doing for recovery on the trail while you're going through it. And as you know, man, I stayed ahead of the game the whole way through. But it's just 2,200 miles of getting your butt kicked every day. So, man, it's going to take a toll. And it has been 1 month from today since I summited. And I'm happy with where my body is. Nutrition's going well. And then that Mend recovery drink, and it's Mend Orthopedic. There are a few kinds of Mend. I'm taking Mend Orthopedic per the suggestion of my nutritionist at work, and definitely seems to be working some magic on my body. So I would recommend that as well. MEND Orthopedic. All right, so we'll get into the gear review itself. Ended up being about 20 minutes, man. I can't make them any shorter. It's just early riser. It's just how I am. So hopefully it will be worth it to you. And last thing, channel management and business rules. I'm all for people having dissenting views. Here's what I want on this channel, though. And I rule it with an iron fist sometimes. And some people say, well, you don't have enough diversity on there. And you know what? I'm okay with that. If you have a dissenting view, man, I want you have a responsibility to us, the community, to spin that into a positive message. Meaning, some people thought, well, if you have hooks in the shelter, that might not be a good thing. Okay, got it. Again, I think we waste calories on some ridiculous things sometimes, because what I assume is I'm not talking to a bunch of kindergartners out here. If I say, hey man, you got to use some hooks for those few of you who have tents that aren't standalones, and there aren't many of us. If you look at trail days and look out anybody's video on trail days and look across tent city, find like point to all the duplex tents or the tents that require a pole to set them up. And there's a few, but man, it's not an overwhelming number. To be able to set your tent up in a pinch and having some hooks that you can screw into the wooden platform. And I guess that's my fault for not posting the hooks. I guess people in their minds get like some idea of these big giant claw hooks that are gonna just leave this giant hole. Totally not what we're talking about. We're talking about things that when you unscrew it, like I couldn't even see the hole where I screwed it into the wood when I pulled it out. So will somebody forget one? Yes, maybe. Like, come on. Let's spend, as a community, we should spend a little more time talking about things that are a little more important, and just assume that everybody we're talking to is an adult and will act like an adult on the trail. And I'm not trying to get on anybody here. It's just, come on, man. Like, we are an adult community. Yes, I was on the trail for 4 months. You don't have to preach to me about, well, some people don't follow the rules. You know what? You're not going to fix that by saying it on a video or saying it in the comments. Those people are going to be those people no matter what we do. Let's act like adults. Let's spend our calories as a community focusing on things that we can affect and change. And I think we win. Spend things in a positive light. If you don't, man, I'm going to block you from the channel. Negativity is running rampant in this world, and it does us really not much good. So I want you to dissent and get your critiques out there. Just spin it in a positive manner where we can all benefit. That's all I'm saying. All right, y'all. I hope you're having a great weekend. I will see you guys next week with another review. Might be talking about footwear, maybe going into water filtration or a cook system or something like that. We'll see what I feel like next week. And comment below. I got to do this because everybody does this. Comment in the section below and let me know what questions you have so I can answer them, because I'd love to do a little question and answer session at the beginning of each video each weekend. All right, y'all. Follow those YouTubers out there. You got Disciple, who is at the channel Not By Sight. You got Black Appalachian logo. Loving his videos. Loving Disciple's videos. Kudos and shout out to Iceman, who has been just providing trail magic in Pennsylvania to a whole host of people. What an angel he is. Dan Haley, man, he posted another video. He is way behind in getting them out. He's still like back on Memorial Day or something, but man, they're so worthwhile when you see them. So Dan Haley, if you ever see any of these videos, brother, I'm following you and I'm loving it. And then man, there's some others out there. I need to just pause this real quick so I don't forget any. I'll be right back. All right, sorry. So a few more of those. I can't believe I couldn't remember these under stress, but Appalachian Trail Tales. I'm really enjoying. This is the couple, husband and wife, really enjoying their videos. Not scared to reveal how hard the trail is, and I think that's important. I love watching everybody's videos when they turn the camera on and everything that comes out of them is positive, and that's very beneficial at times too. But what Appalachian Trail tells, what I think they accomplish, kind of what I was saying about we should spin things in a positive light. Man, they reveal the negative sides of the hikes during their day, but they always spin it in a positive message at the end. So love them. Byron's big hike, Spielberg, told you all about that. I subscribed to them right about the same time, and his videos are awesome, man. Actually, they leave me in awe a little bit. Like love the way he films and his interpretation of the trail. So please check him out. And then Jay's on the trail. Their posts come few and far between, but when they do, man, I really enjoy them. Another couple out there, and I like seeing the couples out on the trail. What a challenge that is. I can't imagine that. I think me and my wife would choke each other out several times on the trail, but in the end, it's amazing to see those couples go through this challenge together. So kudos to them. I follow some more out there, and everybody saw Spielberg's video that came out. Hopefully, if you haven't, go over to his channel and check it out. But he's coming back, man. Look forward to it. And I just got a message from him right now that's popped up on my screen, so I'm going to go read that. All right, y'all. I'm going to copy logo, love and light. Y'all keep spreading the positivity and keep watching those commercials because we are sending money to St. Jude to help them babies. All right, y'all.
All right, good morning, y'all. Early riser 7-1 here. It's the 8th of July. It's Saturday. And I'm going to cover real quick what I would take again starting in February on the Appalachian Trail for a thru hike. So I'm going to go through this fairly quick, but if you got any questions, obviously post it below, and we will talk about it. And I had to throw a poncho liner on the bed so Mrs. ER didn't come in here and choke me out. Most of the stuff's clean, but anyway, y'all know how it goes. All right, so I'm just going to go let's go from right to left as everything is laid out, and then these items over here are extra items that I just want to mention at the end. All right, so these are obviously just representing trail runners. These are North Face. These are not the brand I would take. I would research again. The Vask Constant Velocity shoes were really good. I might go with those again. The ones that I completed my thru hike in, I actually cut grass in now, so didn't want to bring those inside. I'm a trail runner guy. I will do another episode on footwear, maybe even next weekend, so I don't want to get too much in depth here. Starting in February, I would still, if I went out and did it again, I would be in trail runners. Crocs would not change this at all. Good Lord, y'all can hear Blossom going crazy. Crocs would not change. These are my camp shoes. They are heavy. They do come with a weight penalty. But the advantages that come with them, walking around town, comfort, you can wear socks in them, which is good for the winter time. That's where all flip-flops and things like that start losing their value to me, is unless you're wearing five-toed socks or whatnot. This is just much easier, very comfortable, dries really quickly. Enough said. Crocs are my go-to. Carried them all 113 days, all 2,200 miles of Appalachian Trail, and would do it again. Gaiters, must have, especially I would suggest for me wearing trail runners. These are OR like crocodile or something gaiters. Man, I'll have to look. I've had these forever, but these are elastic, so they're stretchy material. They're water resistant, not necessarily waterproof, which is okay because your feet are going to be wet anyway. The main goal of these are to keep snow, mud, sticks, everything out of the inside of your shoes to prevent blisters, uncomfortable, rocks and whatnot getting down in your shoes. These work great. I didn't start with these. I started with longer ones, more waterproof ones for the winter. But again, going with trail runners, I would use these right here. I used these for probably the last 1,500 miles, and man, they could go for another thru hike. Very well made. Good job, OR. Just go over, so compression, these are the ones that I took. These are the compression booties that just go over your feet. Your toes stick out the end. And this is only one of them, but this represents the calf sleeves that I used. Hindsight, I would probably take this configuration again. The other option is to just buy one pair of socks that are compression that cover both your feet and your calves. The problem with that is you don't have the option to leave one off. So if my feet are doing fine and they feel good, but I want to prevent possible shin splints or whatnot, I could just go to calf sleeves and not wear these on my feet. So I kind of like this configuration. Gives you more options, but there are probably advantages to just going with one sock as well. And then the liners here represent, I will always take a pair of sock liners, whether I wear them or not, just in case. You never know how your feet are going to do any given day, depending on the heat, the cold, the wet. So just having a pair ready to go is a good idea. And if you like, I'm forgetting the name of the five-toed that I started with, Injinji. So some people are really digging the Injinji socks because they separate your toes. So if you're prone to blisters, the Injinji brands of socks were good. I started with them, but once my feet hardened up a little bit, didn't really need them after that. And then gloves. So little blue wool liner, so it doesn't matter what color they are, but mine are blue obviously. I would always carry a little wool liner and then some kind of over glove. And especially doing it again, you got to have an over glove that you can operate your phone in while the gloves are on. I didn't start with a pair of those, and man, that was aggravating having to take the gloves off every time I shot one of my videos. What I don't have here, because it's probably somewhere out in my bags, I also had a Z-Packs rain mitt to go over all of this. For snow and cold and wind protection, that was pretty good. But I tell you, if it was pouring rain, those things get just as wet without having them on almost. So it kind of just held water in. So I would carry them again because they weigh nothing. But I would only use them during the cold months like I did, and then I would send them home. Alright, keeping moving over. Bandanas. I only had one with me usually at any given time. I would have it on my left rucksack strap, backpack strap for those who don't know what a rucksack is. And I use that to wipe my nose or mouth or whatever else. It gets really gross when you're hiking in the cold, man. Your nose is running off your face most of the day. So doing it again, I'd have an extra one that I would keep in my pocket or in my man pouch, and I'd be able to pull that out if I needed some backup. Bandanas also help for filtering through some dirty water. If you're not using a filter and you're going with a chemical method, you can also use that to filter out some of the impediments in the water. This is the hat that I wore the whole time that you guys saw for 112 days. I would also carry that again. Really good hat. Never really started stinking somehow. I've only washed it probably 3 times. Definitely got to have something. A lot of people want a hat that has a brim all the way around. That could be good if you're having to wear a bug net as well. This one was beautiful for me and loved it. Alright, let's move to what was on my body. So this is representing the merino wool shirt that I wore the whole time, the black one. This isn't it, but I don't know where it is right now. So merino wool, I would go with it again. Everybody talked about, I had the Icebreaker 200, so a little bit thicker than the 100. Everybody was talking about how it wasn't rugged enough for the trail, but my 200, the only holes that it got in it, I think I said it in one of my videos, was my fault, where I kept clipping my waist strap and getting it caught inside the clips, and it started punching holes in it. Other than that, that shirt had 0 holes in it, and I wore it, I think, for the first, 90 days probably, maybe just a little bit less. And that second shirt that I had, the orange one, that was also, good Lord Blossom, that was also a merino wool shirt as well. Lasted good. I'm still wearing it a lot. Probably my favorite piece of clothing that I had were these Officio pants. Can't remember the name of them. Go back to my first video and I cover them pretty well. Here are the keys features that I love though. They're shants for those Modern Family fans. So they zip off. They come down to your knees so they don't become short shorts and make you look like an idiot when you're walking down a trail. They're baggy enough when you are walking. They're not too tight, they're not too restrictive, so when you're climbing over boulders or whatnot, or doing steep inclines or declines, there's enough movement in there. They have zip off or zippers on the pants legs to get over your shoes or whatnot, if you don't, so you don't have to take your pants all the way off. If you need to unzip the pants legs, you can just undo the zipper and pull the bottom half over your shoes and not have to take your shoes off. So yeah, love them. The belt is incorporated and sewn in so you don't lose it. It stays in place in the wash. It's got a nice little comfort ring around here of nice soft material. Love these pants. Now you got to think before you leave on the trail, you're going to lose weight. So I started in a 34 and went down to a 32 for a while. Gained some weight back and went back to a 34. So definitely probably want to buy multiple pairs of pants and have them ready to get shipped to you if needed. Moving on, base layers. I had a Patagonia thin polypro layer of pants as well as shirt. Those would definitely be coming with me. Then I have the second layer, which is the waffle shirt. What is that, about a half zip or a quarter zip? Patagonia. This thing, one of my favorite pieces of kit. So versatile, breathes really well. Definitely would come with me again. So those are your base layers. and that helps you configure what you need for the day. And obviously you'll have to add or reduce layers as you start going, depending on the terrain for that day. Common sense, but for people who have never hiked, you just got to look at the terrain before you leave out from camp. And the basic rule is always you should leave and be a little cool, if not cold. Hold on. Sorry about that. I had to go take care of something. Yeah, so anyway, deciphering what the temperature is going to be for that day. Start off your hike a little bit cool because you're going to warm up. And then wind protection is always going to be critical as well, because it was very windy starting off for the first month and a half, which is where my rain jacket came in to play. So this is the Arc'teryx. Key things that I look for in a rain jacket, obviously pit zips to help regulate that temperature so you don't have to take it on and off. Because I tell you, man, I'm not going to put this thing on unless I have to, because I know I'm going to sweat in it. But there were times where it was so cold that I had to have the rain jacket on and all of my layers while I was hiking, and it was still cold. So that's when you got to be careful out in the elements, because that is freaking cold. So Arc'teryx rain jacket, would I take that one again? Probably not. I would probably go with an OR brand, and I don't really like the newer model, the 2 whatever it is, because it doesn't have pit zips. Everybody's using it. It's a good price, but man, I need pit zips, so I'd look for a lightweight model that still offered pit zips. And it's going to be a little heavier, but those pit zips are worth their weight in gold. Next, I took North Face rain pants. These were very beneficial in the wintertime, not necessarily for hiking in, but for camp wear, out in town wear, and whatnot. So I would take rain pants again starting off, and then once the warmer weather got there, I would shift to my rain kilt. So this is the Z-Packs rain kilt. I tell you, a lot of people are wearing these out on the trail. Once I got used to it and understood how I had to have it configured, going over certain terrain, like especially when the terrain got steeper up in the northeast, you just learn how to unzip it a little way to give you more freedom of movement in your legs. And ultimately, this thing protected my man pouch that had my phone, all the food for the day and whatnot. So love the rain kilt. That would go with me again for sure. And you can also use it for a ground pad, a seat pad, to lay stuff out on when you're setting up your stealth camp or even in a shelter. Love it. So we'll cover the man pouch real quick. I got this in Duncannon at one of the outfitters there, and I had a smaller one. This thing would have helped me out in the beginning. I could shove all of my hiking food in there, including my lunch, all my snacks. So I'd eat breakfast in the tent. All my snacks and my lunch would come in this bag, and then I'd eat dinner in the tent. And I would shove some calories in here. So very awesome, man. Helps do bigger days, bigger mile days, because you don't have to stop. Aquamira would go in the front of the pouch. So again, wouldn't have to stop to filter water. I'd just bend down, scoop some up in my smart water bottles, pull the Aquamira out of this bag, keep moving. Love it. Will come with me again. All right, and then the last little piece kind of goes with the man pouch is this Z-Packs, what I will call a wallet. And this isn't a smaller wallet, this is a larger version. I don't know what the pouch is called online. Love it. My phone would fit in here, and I've got a bigger phone. I got the Droid 2 Turbo that I use the whole time. It would fit in there, so I'd put that in for water crossings or when it's raining. And I'd also keep my credit cards and cash on the other side. So 2 sides, 2 zippers. It's got the water resistant zipper. Obviously you can't submerge this thing and think water's going to stay out of it. But you can leave it out in the rain, and I never had water penetrate it. So that would go with me again as well. Z-Packs, great stuff. Cold weather headgear. So man, having walked in some really cold weather and for a long time in cold weather, this was my camp hat. I'm always going to have something dry to put on when you get into camp. Lighter weight guys that worry about pack weight wouldn't always have this. Their headgear would get wet while they were hiking, and then they'd have nothing dry to put on in camp. Man, that's a recipe for disaster. So I carried this just for camp. This is the Arc'teryx. Basically a neck warmer, but I'd most of the time wear it on my head, as y'all could see in my videos. Love it. Key piece of gear. Again, you can pull it down over your neck, up over your head. And I also carried a merino wool buff, which I don't know where it is right now. It's somewhere. I would carry that as well. Very lightweight. This thing's the heaviest piece of headgear, but love that thing in camp. So that's what I had for keeping my head warm. Underwear. So I carried 2 pairs. I carried a pair of ex officio. Again, you're going to lose weight, so you might start off with a pair of 34s, or I think larges or extra large, and then you start losing weight fast, and those things become baggy, which is okay sometimes. I had a problem with all the performance underwear riding up my leg as I started doing climbs, and it would bunch up way on the upper level of my thighs, and I'd have to keep reaching down and pulling them down to make sure I didn't get any friction going in between my legs as I was walking. When you're doing 20-25 miles a day, man, you're going to get friction, so figuring out a good combination to prevent that is key, and underwear is a key component to that. So I would go back out with officio, the performance underwear, or some version of Under Armour. I like these just as much, but 2 pairs are going with me, just so you can change out on those 4 or 5 day spacings between trail towns. Lastly, socks. So just like, and we're talking winter now, I'm launched in February, just like having a dry something put on your head, always going to have a dry pair of socks to put on your feet when you get into camp. So those would not come out of my pack except for when I got into camp, and go back in a waterproof bag when I left camp. And then I'd have 2 pair of what we'll call operational socks. Both of these are darn tough. I started out with darn toughs. Y'all saw that I bought Farm to Feet, a pair or 2 later on. You couldn't find those farther up north, so I ended up finishing with this pair of darn toughs and another pair that looked kind of like this. In the end, having 2 pairs to switch between worked out well, but once I started just in the northern sections, just not caring if my feet were wet or not, I would usually just wear 1 pair and keep 1 in reserve in case whatever I needed them. Alright, so that's pretty much the clothing items that I started with, and we can do a review later on of what I reduced down as I moved into warmer weather, but that's going to be different for every individual depending on if you're very cold natured or warm natured. So I necked this stuff down as I got farther north, but you got to be careful not to send it too early. Lastly, I want to talk about a couple pieces of kit. First is the ex officio bug jacket. I think it's the Sand Fly or something jacket. Love this thing. It is treated with permethrin, and it's good for like 170 washes or something like it before it loses its ability to repel bugs. Y'all saw it in the last few videos when the bugs were terrible. It is highly breathable. So obviously not really something you need to start off with in the wintertime. I really didn't start facing a lot of bugs till later on. The gnats came out in the Shenandoah originally, and then the larger issues were black flies and mosquitoes up in the northeast. This thing right there probably saved my sanity on most days. Loved it, especially in camp, man. That thing was great. And then lastly, and we'll talk about this later in footwear, maybe next week or a video soon to be. These are Gore-Tex socks, and for those who were following me, they knew somebody suggested these. I wanted to try them out because I'd never wore them. So I took them out on the trail, and I tell you, I loved them. And this is a good combo, a good compromise, if you will, for those who are thinking boots are the only way to go in the wintertime. So I would do trail runners in the wintertime, but I would probably take a pair of Gore-Tex socks. Not with the mindset that these are going to keep my feet totally dry, but with the mindset that if I'm walking through snow or it's cold, these are definitely going to keep your feet fairly warm, fairly dry. Yep, your feet might sweat in them a little bit, but no more so than what they're going to sweat in Gore-Tex boots. So it's really the same thing. However, I get to take these off and I can throw these in a washing machine, pull them back out, have them clean. They won't be stinking. Gore-Tex boots, on the other hand, man, you're stuck with what you got, and it takes them forever to dry when they get wet. So I think this would be a good compromise for me. This pair worked good. I'd have to get the model. I think I said what I bought in one of my videos, but I'd have to go back and look on Amazon. These were good. I'd probably look for a different brand or a different thickness, but man, interesting concept, and I think I liked it enough to where I would start off with it. Didn't get any blisters, man. My feet felt great in these things too. So definitely good compromise to start out in cold weather if you're using trail runners especially. All right, y'all, that's it for the gear review. We'll close this thing out.